Man who woke up after a 19-year coma makes a startling confession. Coma is an awful result of a head injury when the brain becomes unresponsive to any external stimuli, but it's not dead and it can shut down at any moment. But people can recover and their brain restart to function again. That's what happened a few years ago in Poland. The Polish newspaper Gazeta Dziennowa published in 2007 an article about a railway worker named Jan Grzebski, who suffered an injury to his head that led him into a deep coma back in 1988. They also mentioned that doctors doubted that Jan might ever heal, but after 19 years in a coma, he woke up to find himself lost in this different world. The entire country heard the story of the man who woke up from almost 2 decades in a coma. It's a story that shocked the public, even television and other newspapers picked it up. Of course, Jan would have seen the world differently because when he fell into his 19-year coma, Poland was under the rule of the communist dictator Wojciech Jaruzelski. After a year, Poland became a democratic country. Then it joined NATO, then the European Union in 2004. Weird events for a man who lived during the Cold War era. Newspapers and TV reports pointed out similarities between Jan's story and the plot of a movie called Goodbye Lenin. A family in East Berlin tries to hide the fall of Berlin Wall and East German communism from their elderly pro-communist mother after she awakens from a coma in 1990. Polish media kept on reporting the new strange life of Jan, the man who only had 4 children before he fell into this long coma and now awakens to become a grandfather of 11 children. During Jan's coma, government wasn't the only thing that changed in Poland and the world. Technology also had developed so fast. He was quoted as saying in a Polish television interview, "Now I see people on the streets with mobile phones, and there are so many goods in the shops that it makes my head spin." He was also interviewed by the Daily Telegraph and quoted as saying, "When I went into a coma, there was only tea and vinegar in the shops. Meat was rationed, and huge petrol queues were everywhere. He couldn't believe the copiousness of goods he was seeing." Gertruda, Jan's faithful and loyal wife, she took care of her husband during his 19 years in a coma. She didn't even believe doctors when they told her that her husband might not live longer. In an interview with Polish television, Gertrude talked about the agony Jan's coma caused her. She said, "I cried a lot, and I prayed a lot. Those who came to see us kept asking, when is he going to die? But he's not dead," and she didn't even know whether her husband would ever wake and recover, or he'll just pass from a coma to death. At first, people from all around the world liked what newspapers and televisions reported about Jan's story and all the caring, till the Guardian newspaper started to uncover the untold facts. Apparently, Jan's story wasn't exactly the real one all people knew and read about, because there's a person to whom the Guardian reporter spoke to and told him all the inaccurate details they had fabricated. This person cannot be anyone but Jan himself, he said. "I never said any of those things. I was not in a coma for 19 years. He left the reporter shocked and speechless. He also confessed that his coma didn't last 19 years, but in fact, in 1988, he fell into a coma for only 4 years, and then he had been wheelchair-bound since then. Jan debunked the entire Goodbye Lenin of his story. He had not fallen into a coma in one world just to wake up in a different one, like reports suggested. He said to the Guardian reporter that he saw all the things he pretended to have never seen. He even met his grandchildren. As it turned out, even the newspaper was trying to exaggerate after Jan's doctor Wojciech Stragowski confirmed that even if Jan had been disabled for 19 years, but he was certainly not in a coma for all the 2 decades. Gertruda also admitted that her husband wasn't in a coma because he understood everything she said to him. He also used his head when he needs something, to drink or eat, and then he spoke to her. Jan mentioned that he told his story to only one reporter, a reporter from Gazeta Dziennowa, and this reporter is the one who fabricated his story and who added inaccurate details to it. The Guardian newspaper kept their investigation of Jan's true story, and they contacted the paper's editor-in-chief about the story, and she told them that they didn't lie about Jan's story, but that it's just there are different types of comas. She also explained Jan's case as the kind of coma where people are sometimes unconscious and sometimes they're awake. Then they fell into their coma again. Eventually, the Guardian newspaper showed the world the true story behind the drama that had been published about Jan's story. People stopped following his story after knowing all the accurate details, but Jan and his wife Gertrude, who always took care for him, are still in love, and he didn't really care about what the media would have said about his story, since he has his health and his beloved wife by his side.